stop thinking about people's words so much. Because the one thing about words, unfortunately, is people can lie. They can say whatever they want. They could say, I love your screenplay. That was fantastic. You were great in that movie. I thought you were great. They can say anything to please, to flatter, to cajole you. But body language, man, it doesn't lie. Real confidence comes from actual actions, from your actual things you've accomplished, right? So, when you're 22, 21, it's hard to have that confidence because what is it based on? Maybe it's based, okay, maybe you're really good looking if you happen to have that good fortune and you can feel confident about that and you don't have to try so hard. All right, maybe that might work. Or maybe you're really good at sports, or maybe you're a really good dancer, or you're a really great singer, but it's based on something real. You have a skill. You have something that separates you. You have something that you can do, that you can accomplish. Because when you're 21, it's hard to have those. I look back on myself when I was that age, I had nothing. No wonder I got rejected, It comes from what you do in life, okay? The finest sense of confidence is actually creating things and having success and meeting goals and achieving things and having a record of that, and maybe what goes with that is having some money, but it's not necessarily, because you don't have to have a lot of money and you don't have to be good looking to seduce. That's a myth that I try to explode in The Art of Seduction. Some of the greatest seducers, male and female, were not good looking at all. It's about psychology and it's about how you carry yourself. But the confidence comes from actually what you can do, not how you feel or what you say. Well, it is how you feel, but the feeling is based on things that you actually can do, skills that you have that separate you, that make you feel really confident, Well, in my last book, Human Nature, I wrote a whole chapter on it. I quoted the figure 95%, but who knows what it really is. The thing it is that we evolved for hundreds of thousands of years before language existed, right? And our earliest ancestors depended on the group for their survival and getting along, and their powers came from observing other people and their body language. You could read it. So it's a skill that's wired into us, wired into our brains. It's a very unique skill that we humans have. It's just that you don't learn that. When you're a child, when you're 2 years old, you have it because your life depends on it. You have to see if your mother is loving you or your father is kind to you, because if not, you could be abandoned. Your life depends on it. You're great at reading that. And children are incredibly adept at picking up body language. So if someone is fake, if someone's an imposter, they hate being around children because children see through you, like radar, right? Because they're so attuned to it. You had that skill when you were very young, but you lost it because you became so oriented with words and you became so self-absorbed that you're not paying attention. But it's extremely important, right? So the whole body is involved in it. So you've got to first stop thinking about people's words so much. Because the one thing about words, unfortunately, is people can lie. They can say whatever they want. They could say, I love your screenplay. That was fantastic. You were great in that movie. I thought you were great, etc., etc. They can say anything to please, to flatter, to cajole you. But body language, man, it doesn't lie, right? So I talk in that book about the eyes and the fake smile. The fake smile is something you see every single day, but you're not paying attention. But a real smile, the whole face gets animated, and there's a little crinkly thing here as your face, as it lights up, and your eyes light up. It's hard to even put into words, but it's there. You can see it. It's real. It's not fake. Knowing the difference between a fake and a real smile is really important in seduction, in business, or whatever. To know if someone is like, yeah, I like that idea. No, they don't really. They're saying that to please you. They actually hate your idea. You master that language, you can start deciphering all these people are giving you. The face, you can disguise it a little bit. Actors know that. But you know what you can't fake? It's your voice. If you're nervous, not even the finest actors in the world can fake that. Your voice betrays so many things about you. It betrays your weakness. It betrays your lack of confidence, or it betrays the other quality, right? So pay really attention to the tone of people's voices, to how fast they talk. People who talk fast are very nervous, but You talk slowly, you have a certain tone, you have a certain intonation that kind of reveals confidence, okay? Body language, posture. You were talking about pecking, right? When you go and look at a meeting of people in a business meeting, you'll see all the employees kind of leaning forward, nervous, and you'll see the boss kind of leaning back, arms crossed. I'm the powerful one. You come to me. I'm the leader. I'm the top dog, or she. It's a woman. I don't need to be like this. I'm like this. Body language reveals a lot about leadership qualities. If you're at a party and you come up to someone that you're meeting for the first time and they're talking to you, and you notice that their feet are angling away from you, that means that they're not really interested. They're looking for any moment to try and walk away and escape. They're not really into you. Whereas their feet are facing you, they're engaged, they want to talk to you, right? This is a whole art you can learn. You can sit there and you can read it. And I give the story in Laws of Human Nature of a man named Milton Erickson, the founder of NLP and hypnotherapy, probably one of the most brilliant psychologists who ever lived. When Milton Erickson was 19 years old or so, he had polio. He nearly died. His entire body was paralyzed. The only thing he could move, the only muscle he could move were his eyeballs. Now imagine that. He was a young man with a very active mind. He can't talk, he can't do anything. All he can do is move his eyeballs a little bit. He was so bored. Can you imagine how bored you'd be like that? You can't read, you can't do anything. People would come in to visit him. All he could do was look at them and study them. He became the greatest reader of body language ever in the history of mankind. People said he was almost had ESP. He could read everything about who they were just by looking, because he ended up recovering. He became a psychologist. Because his life depended on developing this skill, he was going to just die from sheer boredom if he didn't learn how to read body language. He mastered that language much like somebody could master French. And it's an incredibly powerful language that I can't emphasize enough. If you feel confident, if you feel secure, if you're not all inward and insecure and worried about yourself, it will naturally radiate through your gestures. Yeah, you don't have to sit there and pay attention to your fingers, your arm, your ears, your eyes. It's just there, it's natural. So yeah, that is the solution. So the two parts of the game, it's your own body language. Be aware that people are judging you for that, right? And you can't, as you say, be monitoring everything or you'll drive yourself crazy and you'll look very weird, right? So the best solution is to feel these certain things that are going to radiate and give the fake smile, but when you're really happy, to just show it and show your emotion that way. And the other side, which is more really important, is learning other people's body language. And that can come from study and is much more a logical thing than constantly thinking about everything that you do. Life can be kind of difficult, right? You don't really know sometimes where you're headed. Nobody kind of gives you any kind of guidance in this world, right? And they don't tell you when you graduate college, go ahead, go Robert, you go study this. This is what your brain is suited for, et cetera, et cetera. You have to find your own path. And so for me personally, I spent years in the wilderness. So I'm gonna give this a personal spin because I think that helps a little bit, because I can answer it inside my own body here. So I know I want to be a writer, but I can't figure out what the hell I'm going to write. So I leave college and I tried journalism because I have to make a living. I have to support myself, and I don't really like it. It doesn't suit me. You write an article and then a week later it's forgotten. Nobody reads about it. And as somebody who studied ancient Greek and Latin in college, I think in terms of thousands of years and not in 3 days or a week, I want something that I write to be read in 3024, So it wasn't a good fit. So I quit. I wander around Europe trying to write a novel with my backpack. I live in London. I live in Paris. I lived in Ireland. I lived in Greece. You name it. I taught English in Spain. Trying to write a novel. I had no discipline. I couldn't do it. It didn't work. And starting to get depressed. Then my dad isn't well. I decided I'm going to move back to Los Angeles. Hey, I'm going to get a job in Hollywood, right? That'll be good. I'll make a ton of money. And I'll be writing and, et cetera. How glamorous, how sexy, movie stars, starlets knocking on my door, et cetera. Okay, terrible, terrible fit because I'm a control freak. I don't like people coming in and changing everything I say. And I don't like conforming, and I don't like compromise. Sorry, that's a bad thing about me, but I didn't want to have to lower my standards to what they were asking me to do. It was a terrible fit. All right, now comes the chance. I meet this man, Joost Elfer, as we mentioned earlier, in Italy, and he asked me if I have any ideas for books, and I kind of improvised the 48 Laws of Power. The point of my long-winded story here is I had spent 18 years or so acquiring high levels of skill in writing, okay? I learned in journalism how to write under a deadline, under pressure, how to make it dramatic, how to make the opening sentence exciting enough to make you read on further. Trying to write novels taught me about creating stories, which is a huge part of my writing. Working in Hollywood, I learned how to research, which is a huge element, and then the theatrical element, making things dramatic, also story. Okay? All of that time, slowly by slowly, brick by brick, I had developed real level skill. So when it came time to write the 48 Laws of Power, I could do it. I had learned all this discipline. I had learned how to write under a deadline. I learned how to make things entertaining, the whole bag, okay? And so the world opened up for me. Prior to that time, I was miserable, really, really was. I mean, I had good moments too. You're young, you're always happy when you're young. But a lot of times I was miserable. And I didn't know why, but I was acquiring skills, not even aware of it. And so the reason I write that is when you develop that skill, when you're serious about it, because I was very serious about writing, you change your brain. You rewire your brain. It's like, and this is a remarkable power of the human brain that people don't realize. Something I'm also writing in my new book. This one writer, his name is Schwartz, I believe. He's a UCLA neuroscientist. He wanted to help people who had OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And usually it's drugs and it's talking therapy. He wanted to find out something more effective. And he found that through certain strategies that he developed that they could use in their life, that they would get over their disorder. And the point isn't what the strategies were. The point was he did brain scans. And through the strategies that he gave them to do, which I can't remember right now, the brain scans show that they changed the brain. And his point was, through thinking, through developing skills, you literally change matter, you change your brain. So something non-material like thoughts can literally change material things like the wiring of your brain. You learn skills, you're changing your brain, you're changing the matter of your brain. Things are connecting that weren't connected before. And slowly, if you do it, if you're serious enough, a point will be reached like it was reached in my life, where either you will start a business or someone will ask you to do something like write a book or make a film, and the world will open up for you and you'll be able to do it because you have that. You've laid the ground, you've laid the soil, everything is there, it's rich, and now something great, amazing will sprout up out of it. When you have no talents, you have no skill, life is a series of endless confusion. Yes, but there are parameters to it. It's not like it's total mystery in the moment. Going back to what bothers me about philosophy, we're so caught up in things that are rational, things that can be put into numbers, quantifiable, data, big data, AI, et cetera, et cetera. But the human consciousness is more subtle than that, is more fine-grained. No numbers can actually approximate what human consciousness is capable of. And what we have sometimes is we have an intuition about things in the moment. So maybe in retrospect, I'm creating a story that didn't really exist back then. But at the same time, I kind of knew the future. I kind of knew that this would happen. I had a feeling of fate. And I've studied millions of successful, famous people, and a lot of them report the same thing. Sometimes you don't realize it, but your body and your brain has a sense of even the future and of where you're headed, but you're not totally aware of it. So I knew that I wanted to be a writer. So if people don't know that they want to be a writer, they want to go into engineering, It said they'll never make those little connections that I was able to make. Having that sense that you want to be a writer, that you want to make films, that you want to start a particular kind of business, you're interested in technology, creates a framework in your brain, changes how you make decisions. You're not totally conscious of it, but not everything in life you're totally conscious of. Things are operating below the level. So the chapter I'm writing right now about my Sublime book, there is something in you that is guiding you towards certain things, guided you towards podcasting. I don't know your life. I don't know your biography before then, but something inched you towards that. What is that? It's interesting to find out. It's not all just chaos and random is what I'm trying to say.